Good afternoon, everyone. We are Group B and I'm Hoshitei Horace. Today, we are going to present question 1 to see if the involvement of big business will benefit or harm the fair trade from the perspective of grower, supermarket, and customers. Here is our agenda. First, what is fair trade? Fair trade is a form of ethical sourcing in which companies deliver a guaranteed livable wages, which is a fair price to the grower in developing countries so as to protect their interests. And in recent years, more and more big companies start to get involved in the sales of fair trade products, such as Nestle, Marks and Spencer. But is their involvement really benefit the fair trade system? Let's start from the field of suppliers to investigate this question. Firstly, as I introduced before, fair trade have provided growers an income stability as the company have guaranteed them a livable wages. And since it's common that companies perform fair trade by direct purchasing from the grower without any agent, the reduction of commission can help to maximize the grower profits too. Therefore, more big business involved in the fair trade can actually increase the revenue stream so as to benefit the supplier. Second, the involvement of big companies have fostered the accreditation process of fair trade products. The entry of big business have led the exponential growth of fair trade market, associated with the presence of first recognized fair trade label. Such accreditation systems have boosted customer confidence towards the fair trade market, and the demand of different products have also expanded unexpectedly. Therefore, more growers from different categories that have not involved in the fair trade system before can now be benefited. Lastly, those big businesses can help enlarge the scale of social premium scheme. Social premium is the extra money that above the overall fair trade price. Let's look at the picture here first. Over 23 million social premium is generated from the fair trade sales in the UK. This means that if more fair trade sales that the big companies can make, more premium can be put into the scheme. And the supplier group can use the premium to fund the farmer education, healthcare, training, and also the living quality. Thus, those big businesses can actually help create a new trading relations among the merchandiser and growers. However, there are some voices against the fair trade sales of those big companies. For example, someone thinks that those big businesses are just capturing the current profit of fair trade instead of truly considering the grower interest. Therefore, some boycott movement towards the fair trade product of those companies appeared. Indeed, such boycott movement will only harm the reputation of the protection system of fair trade. Also, the supplier interests instead of company, as the growers are always the victim who suffer if the sale of fair trade product decrease. Besides, those big companies may threaten the producer power during the fair trade negotiation. The original goal of fair trade is to guarantee a livable income to protect the small-scale cooperative farms. However, along with the increase of big business involved, some farms need to expand their plantation scale so to boost their target quantity to supply the major brands and supermarkets. Indeed, such changes have watered down the foundation principle of fair trade and also lowered the bargaining powers of suppliers. Lastly, the more questionable problem is that does profit from fair trade really go to the pocket of growers, as those big businesses could earn the name of good corporate citizens through the fair trade, while making a huge markup for themselves instead of passing all earned profit to the grower. As an outsider, we cannot know how those merchandisers allocate their profit. Thus, it is also possible that the big business is just exploiting the value of fair trade instead of considering the growers ethically.
Hello, my name is Myra and I will discuss the view from the supermarkets. So the first for fair trade argument is direct purchasing. The fair trade products are purchased directly from supermarkets. There are no agents or brokers. This fact maintains cooperative, long-term trade relationships and sustainable production. The second one is product accreditation. The first initiative to certify this product led to a significant increase in sales of fair trade products. Participating firms are granted fair trade accreditation through an international labeling system which allows them to display the fair trade status on packaging and promotional material. Consumers trust these labels. This had led to some significant overall market shares increase for fair trade The third one is sales growth. Sales figures published by fair trade organizations show remarkable growth across the globe with an average annual growth of 70% in Australia, Sweden, and Norway. This fact that fair trade products have been distributed in thousands of supermarkets all over the world may be the most significant aspect of the fair trade movement to the mainstream. Now let's discuss the against fair trade arguments, and the first is a lack of genuine commitment to the corporate social responsibility. So the relationship between supermarkets and fair trade currently is primarily financial. Younger generation of consumers are now demanding stronger ethics from the businesses. This public pressure has caused big businesses to change. They offer more certified and non-certified fair trade products than ever before and providing ethical campaigns, but they are largely superficial. The primary reason consumers choose one store over another is price. So many supermarkets try to appear ethical, put pressure on the supply chains to become cheaper, often at the detriment of the workers. Taking Nestlé's Partners Blend Fair Trade coffee campaign as an example. Despite the products compliant with the rigorous international fair trade certification scheme, some boycotters resented the company's conversion to fair trade as a cynical attempt to take an advantage of the growing market. The second argument is a prevailing of an unfair trade. The movement is criticized for its inability to impact the core business of large corporations by including big brands. So the proportion of fair trade sales in supermarkets is not very high, whereas industry-wide unfair trade dominates. Now I will pass the turn to my teammate Kelly.
I'm Kelly Ho and I will present the view from customers. I'll present the arguments for the involvement of big business in fair trade. First of all, there will be an increased transparency in the consumer products, because the international fair trade labeling system could be applied to a wider variety of products supplied by the big business. There are more fair trade marks on the packaging of goods. For example, you can see that 52% of all bananas sold in Switzerland were fair trade labeled in 2008. The second argument is the strengthened consumer movement. The rapid market growth raised the public awareness of the issues involved in the fair trade products. There will be large-scale collective efforts by the consumers in many countries to safeguard their consumer rights. When the big business is involved in the fair trade, the collective efforts of the consumers could be a strong bargaining power to ask for a compromise in monitoring and enforcement of the standards and working conditions. From the point of view of consumers, the higher price will be the major argument against the enforcement of big business in fair trade. It is because a higher cost is required for the fair trade products. The supplier will transfer the burden to consumers. The consumers will have to pay a higher price that is going to the hands of supermarkets instead of the growers. Here we come to our conclusion. We have discussed 9 and 5 arguments for and against the enforcement of big business in fair trade. As a whole, the argument of proponents are stronger. Fair trade could also act as a catalyst for change and a sideshow in the drive towards cost minimization. Based on our discussion, we can conclude that fair trade protects the interests of the grower. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.